Today, we are going to be talking about Google local service ads. We're going to put our thinking caps on, talk about what they are, why they're important, what they mean in 2024, different than what they maybe meant in 2023, 2022, some of the changes going on, ways to play the game, what the game even is. Everything is everything about marketing is a bit of a game. It's the strategy, the influence, how you can maximize the opportunity and all that.
Welcome to the Carpet Cleaner Success Podcast, a show created to inspire carpet cleaning business owners to build their own thriving residential and commercial cleaning business. Your host, John Clendenning, has built and sold successful cleaning businesses for multiple six figures over his 30-year career and is the founder of Carpet Cleaner Marketing Masters, a digital agency that turns your online marketing into a lead generation machine. Tune in as John shares proven tips, strategies, and expert interviews to help fast-track your success in the carpet cleaning industry.
Okay, so all the normal stuff. Let's do the housekeeping as we always talk about. You want to turn off your cell phones unless you're watching this on your cell phone. Turn off your notifications then. Turn off your Facebook. If you're a cleaning, home service company, business owner, working with service businesses, anything like that, and you're serious about getting the good results, the next 60 minutes is one of those things that will help you get those results and help you change the way you do your business, hopefully, or at least give you some insights in all of that. So what we're going to cover today, Google local service ads. Some people call them Google guarantee. So I get that conversation a lot. John, you just spent the last how long talking to us about different ad sources and Google local service ads. What about Google guarantee? It's the same thing. And we'll talk about why they call it Google guarantee, or what part of it is the guarantee, and what local service ads are. It's the same thing, but there's kind of a reason why they use both languages. Want to know where it's active, how it works, how you can jump on board if you haven't already, and how you can rank in the top 3, because there's really only 3 results that matter. So how do you get there? And then how can you take advantage of high quality leads at a low cost per lead and get the ROI to make it win, right? So the cost per lead means nothing in business if you don't actually have a conversion principle in mind. If you don't have a way to convert, you can have $2 leads, $2 inquiries. I was talking to somebody the other day there, and we're talking about how much it costs to buy a customer in a home cleaning service, right? Roofing, $200, $300, $400 to buy a customer is common. Carpet cleaning, $60, $80, $100 is common, right? The cost per buying acquisition of the customer. So, if you found a lead source that's giving you $2, $3 leads, by all means, that's amazing. And I don't know where that exists. $20, $30 leads makes more sense, because there's a cost to be on the network. There's a cost of the platform. All of those costs are going up. There's competitors and stuff like that. But the lower the cost per lead, almost guaranteed, the more leads you need, because they're not targeted. The higher the cost per lead, the more targeted they are. So we're going to talk about local service ads and how targeted it can be at a reasonable cost per lead. So for those of you on here that don't know who I am, I'm pretty sure most of you do. You followed along other podcasts. We've got customers of ours. We've got people that we know, friends, all that kind of stuff on the call. But just a quick little bio. I started my cleaning business career in 1990, last year of high school. And I owned over from that point through to 2.5 years ago, coming up to 3 years ago now, May of 2021. I've owned many cleaning businesses, some of them all the way through that journey, other ones bought, built up, and sold. I've helped franchise networks grow. I've been spoken around the world. I had to learn this crazy thing called marketing. On the shelf behind me there is probably some of the $200,000 or $300,000 I've invested in my own marketing training over those 30 some odd years, right? I've 35, whatever it works out to now, years. I've spent a lot of time knowing I didn't know what I didn't know. So reading, learning, audiobooks, cassette tapes in my car back in the day, opening up the binder beside me, putting the next cassette tape in, and using drive time as education, learning, university time to get it all into my head constantly. I still do that to this day. If I'm out for a walk or driving around or doing anything, I'm not listening. I love Dave Matthews and a bunch of other type of music. I don't listen to that as often as I'm listening to a podcast, an interview, a book, an audiobook. If I find a really good audiobook, I buy the book next and then go through with a Sharpie or highlighter and highlight all the most important points. I'll bring them out, all that kind of stuff, because I'm constantly wanting to learn. As business owners, we're learners. We have to be able to learn all of that stuff. So I've been able to lecture on this stuff, keynote speaker around the world, wrote a book on it. So if you want a book to read, definitely that's a good one. If you're in the home cleaning space, The Complete Guide to Internet Marketing for Carpet Cleaners. Oh, yes, Dave Matthews. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I will come your way, John, some point. I'll bring my guitar. We'll put a fire in the backyard and I will play you a whole entire set of Dave Matthews music. I'm just not going to be the one singing. You don't want to hear that. So anyways, sorry. But yeah, what we want to do here is we want you to learn how to get these kinds of results. We want you to be a testimonial, whether we help you, because again, on the other side, we run an agency. We do all these free trainings and lectures and stuff like that. We also run an agency to help with some of this stuff. But even if you don't use our services, but you use what you learn from us and grow your business, tell me, let me know. These are all clients of ours. But again, back when I was a kid in the mid 90s, I used to get started getting Clean Facts magazine. I got it every single month. I've got cases and cases and cases in the back shop up in the mezzanine, and of all the issues of Clean Facts magazine every month. Kind of cool that last year I was one of the industry leaders of the year in Clean Facts magazine. I'm on their monthly training for digital marketing called Take 5 with Clean Facts and Straight Talk with Clean Facts, part of the ISSA association. And I learned from Howard Partridge and people like that. And in the industry now, I share speaking engagements with them and stuff like that. So that's all kind of cool stuff. But ultimately, what do? We help our clients become the top brand. You can say carpet cleaning, home cleaning, whatever, top brand in their local marketplace. So they attract the best clients. They're able to charge at the top rates, and they're booked out well in advance. You're the top brand. You're not cheap. You're not discount. You're actually playing the game properly. Dan Kennedy once said, so the godfather of marketing and the millionaire maker, as they call it, Dan Kennedy, from Magnetic Marketing and many, many other things. And again, back on the bookshelf, you'll find dozens of Dan Kennedy books that I have consumed and that you should be consuming as well. But Dan has always said, the person who can pay the most to buy a customer wins. So how do you pay more? Because the customer pays you more, so you can acquire customers at a higher acquisition cost and become competition free, because you have found ways to upsell and scale and all that kind of stuff. And that plays into what we're going to be talking about here today as well, because what we always emphasize is there's really only 3 core principles you need to focus on to grow any type of business. You want to maximize the opportunities to generate an ideal lead. I need to add the little word in here, ideal, just kind of ran out of space. But who is your ideal lead? You need to know who they are. Who is your target avatar? You need to be maximizing opportunity to generate one of those leads or inquiries. I like the word inquiry better than leads these days. But you need those ideal target customers. You need to maximize your brand impressions in front of those ideal target potential customers, and you need to maximize your conversions, because you can generate a ton of opportunities, hopefully to the right people. You can generate a ton of opportunities to the wrong people, and now you've got a business you don't like. You start dialing in who you want to talk to. Now you got a business you like, and then you want to maximize your brand impressions so that they start to know, like, and trust you. Nobody ever responds one and done. If they do, either there's something wrong with them, and I mean that seriously. They've either got an urgent need right this minute, and they're in a frantic state. Sometimes that's okay, but that is not a way to build a business unless you're in a crisis management urgency business. But if that's not the case, where they're massively urgent, you're probably the lowest price, because there's no way that you're in a blue ocean where there's no other sharks in the ocean, as they say, making it red. There's nobody else also going after the same bait as you are, right? So if you're in any sort of business that has competitors, You know you're in a market that has competition, which means you're in a market that has buyers. That's always a good thing. It's not bad to have competitors. It's good. You just have to define yourself from those competitors differently. But if you're generating brand impressions, people need to see you 5, 6, 7 times more to start trusting you, start knowing you. They need to know your brand message and things like that. So if you're maximizing your brand impressions to those right people, if you're maximizing your opportunities to get in front of them, and you're maximizing your conversions, so once they do show up, pop their head up and say, hey, I'm kind of interested in what you do, treat them as a wiggly fish. Hold on to them, chase them down, follow up with them, give them reasons to buy from you. Don't be an annoying pest, but be a welcome guest in their inbox, on their phone, text message, in follow-ups, in mail to their physical mailbox that they can open up, right? Maximize your opportunity to convert, and you will beat out most of your competitors who take one call, it's a yes or a no, and they move on, right? So these are the principles that we always talk about, and every one of the trainings that we do in this training series, this best known cleaner training series, this best known business owner training series, is all a part of one aspect of this. And one of those aspects is Google local service ads. It's not the only aspect. Every single opportunity to generate leads, to generate a business, to generate awareness has strengths and limitations. No one of them stands alone as the only thing you should do, or the thing you should do until it, makes some money, you can try something else. You've got to treat everything as one piece of the pie, or as I like to say, one line in the water. If you only have one fishing pole and one line in the water and one lure or bait, how many fish are you going to catch? And if you look over and the guy over in the same really good fishing hole that you both found, and he's got 30 lines around his boat, how many fish is he going to catch, right? So we always got to be thinking as business owners, how many more poles can I put in the water? Local service ads is just one of them. It's a cool one, but just like anything else, you go back years ago, pay-per-click was one of the best places to be because it was new, the cost per lead was low, and then over time, the cost per lead has increased and increased and increased. There are some businesses where the cost for a single click in pay-per-click is $80, $90, $100, $200, $300 per click. And it's still profitable for the right businesses. But those used to be $5 clicks, $2 clicks like a decade ago, right? Local service ads is going to be going that way eventually too. Nothing stays untapped forever. It's not completely untapped now, but it's still considered slightly new in the world. So we can kind of see here by the graphic where that shows up. Local service ads show up across the top of the Google listing, and you typically only see 3 before you can possibly click the button here and to see more of them. So really sort of like the Google Maps listing, we'll kind of touch on that a little bit as a comparison. You only see 3 now, right? So, and I like to think like with Google, what Google noticed was, so Google local service ads are what they call pay-per-call. So you don't pay anytime somebody clicks on it. You only pay when somebody calls. Now, prior, what Google watched was things like Thumbtack and Home Advisor and Angie's List and some of these other places that ranked in the organic rankings down below, generated leads, and then sold you the leads. And even back in the day, they actually sold, and there was other pay-per-call services, and they'd share them amongst a bunch of different businesses. And so they would get paid 2, 3, 4 times for the same lead, and it was up to you to chase them down. And some of those services still exist. But somebody at Google was smart enough to go, they're using our own platform to generate leads and sell it and make money. We own the platform. Why don't we do that too? Why don't we do that and put it right at the top? We own the platform. We can put it anywhere we want. And that was Google's entry into local service ads. So, as I said, all an ad basically is, so here's where we're talking about Google Guarantee. So, Google Guarantee, what it means is that if the person is unhappy, if you damage something, whatever, Google is guaranteeing the customer up to $2,000 back to them. They can complain to Google. about your services. So they need to guarantee that you're a quality service. And the phone number that goes into Google Guarantee is not yours because they're charging you per lead that reaches out to you. So you're getting a verified phone call, which is amazing. You're not paying for the advertising, you're not paying for the impressions, you're not paying for the clicks. You're only paying when they physically reach out to you, either by a phone call or now they've added in the ability for them to message you. Kind of think of it like a text message, right? So Google shows the names of the business, the review ratings. We'll talk a little bit about that. They guarantee the service, and they're the ones that will pay out if there's a problem. And the phone number is theirs, call tracking that bounces through them to you, and all recorded. So it really, really helps Google know what they're, kind of what they're providing to you, and that's how they bill for it. Okay, so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense there. When somebody does click on the listing, it doesn't go to your website. So the people that you have already used Google local service ads, Google Guarantee, you guys know this. We're just kind of refreshing, recapping. For the ones that don't yet and kind of wondering if it's something you should get into, understand that it goes to the listing in the Google Local Services platform. So inside that listing is some information about you that you can click on and add. There's other things that go on in there, but they're not seeing your website, your landing page, like other areas of Google. Like a Google pay-per-click goes to a landing page that you can influence and put whatever you want on it for the most part, as long as it's within quality guidelines and all that kind of stuff. But you can put your own offer, you can do all those kinds of things. In local service ads, you don't have that control. It is their dashboard, right? So, again, it's catching people up at the top of the listing, and there's some requirements around that as well. So why do Google Local Service ads even matter? Why is it one of the many places that you should consider marketing your business? Well, one of the big reasons for that is 87% of online consumers, which is most of us, search Google when they're looking for service providers. So that's when if they don't already have a preferred service, a business that they're going to type the name in for. If they're just going carpet cleaners near me, maid services in Atlanta, whatever, they're searching. 87% of those online searchers search on Google. Right. So if they're online at all. Now, the stats are about somewhere between 60 and 70% of people search online. The other 30% don't. Obviously, they ask before they buy. They check with friends. They call the person that installed the carpet or the tile floor or whatever. They talk to their interior designer. They talk to the real estate agent. There's a whole bunch of different ways that people do that. But when they don't have a name in mind, and they're a searcher, some people even talk into Alexa and things like that. But the people that do search, 87% search online. So you want to be there. It's one of the places you need to be. It's the number one place for new customers looking for your service, right? It's in the number one place. Sorry, it's at the very top of the page. And we're going to show how many people actually click on that at the top of the page. Local service ads come up first on mobile and desktop. Again, Google decided to place them right at the top, even above pay-per-click, above the maps and everywhere else. There's no higher intent prospect either, because the only time that Google shows that ad is when they know that there's a huge commercial intent. So they don't show the ad. They don't want people calling and you're not happy with the service if somebody types in, how do I get out red wine stains from my carpet on my own? They're not going to show local service ads. That wasn't a high consumer intent to buy a service. Google is going to show those ads. Their algorithm is going to go, oh, this person, carpet cleaners near me, home cleaning services, contractors nearby or in my city, or think of all of those kinds of terms. In Google local service ads, you don't get to pick the keywords that people are typing in like you do with pay-per-click, because Google's algorithm is the one that's deciding when they want to show, because they're paying for all of the showing of the ads. You're only paying if it prompts somebody to call you. So they're dialing all that in for you, right? So you must have a plan to win, though, because it's not just about being there, because there's only 3. How do you show up to be 3? How do you win? How are you tracking the ROI to know, are you booking enough of these people to pay the bills and cover your cost? And what does it even cost to generate a phone call? So we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff here, right? So let's just talk about the breakdown first of how it impacts in the search results. Because again, we're talking about Google search here. Somebody had to type something in. Carpet cleaning in Denver is the example here. And again, about 14% of the people click on Google local service ads. That still does mean 86% don't, right? This is just based on national stats. Companies like Bright Local and a bunch of others do these surveys and stats all the time and determine how many people click on different spots of the Google search results in industries like ours and other industries and stuff like that. 11% of the people click on Google AdWords now. Now that used to be a lot higher when there wasn't local service ads, but now between the two of them, they're blending about 25%. That means 75% of the people still don't click up in the ad section at all. They go, about 30 to 35% go down into the 3-pack, and they have to click more listings to get beyond that. And that's based on your proximity and how close you are and how you've got your Google Maps listing set up. And then 40 to 45%, sometimes as high as 50%, still go down in the organic. Readers or leaders, the people that are doing due diligence and thinking through a process and are earlier on in the buying cycle and funnel, they're still going to be down here for that same search term. So we're capturing about 14%, right? Is that valuable? Heck yeah, it's valuable, because we're still talking about maximizing your opportunities to generate a qualified lead. Are they qualified? Holy crap, they're super qualified, right? And you want to maximize. So that's an opportunity. It's got its strengths and its limitations. Google Ads, that's an opportunity to capture some more. It's got its strengths and limitations. Google Maps, that's an opportunity. And down here in organic, that's also a huge opportunity. So the answer is yes to all of them, because they all have an opportunity for you to capture an ideal targeted lead who is interested in your services. And now you need to be able to do something with those and convert them better. And that's kind of a little bit of what we're going to talk about here as well. So you must complete your Google local service application. It's not just, oh, I want to pay, I'm there today. Nope. There's a full application involved. They will run a background check on you, because again, remember, Google's guaranteeing this. They need to know. They're going to be doing a licensing and background check with Pinkerton in the US. I can't remember the name of the one in Canada off the top of my head, but they use different background check services. The business owner and all the technicians that are going to be involved must complete those. So you want to make sure that you go through that process. It can take up to a week, sometimes more. You want to make sure that in your state, you've got your state license. They're going to want to see your insurance as well, your business insurance. You have to have enough liability insurance, because they're guaranteeing you better have insurance for what you're doing as well. And once you're approved, and again, that's a process and it can take a little bit of time, you're going to be basically paying somewhere between $25 and $45, and expect that to shift upwards over time. I remember when it was $15, $16, $17, 20, 22 was the average. Now it's 25 to 45 in most marketplaces, and going up for somebody to call you. And I know I've got people going, John, that seems incredibly expensive for a phone call. I'm paying $25 to $45. My answer is usually, run your math, because I used to pay back in 2002. I was running through some reports recently. It was $80.82 to buy a customer from our Yellow Page ads. Again, before the days of Google Ads, and really even before the internet meant anything to anybody. Google Ads didn't even roll out to 2002, 2003, somewhere in there as an ad platform. Google was just this weird search thing prior to that. They didn't even monetize it until around that time. So Yellow Pages was one of the places cold leads went to find businesses, when they didn't have a name in mind and they needed to search through a category. Pizza, lawyers, mechanics, carpet cleaners were some of the top sections in the Yellow Pages. And you paid to be in the Yellow Pages, usually about $500 a month for a quarter page ad. You sometimes as much as $1,500 a month or more for a full page ad every single month in the Yellow Pages, just to try and generate phone calls against everybody else who's also getting those phone calls. And by the time you paid all of that based on the number of phone calls, and maybe you're in 4 different books because of the way they divided your territory, $2,000, $3,000. I used to pay $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month in Yellow Pages as one of our lead sources in our carpet cleaning business in the 2000s. And yeah, we would be happy to buy a customer for $80 20 years ago, because we knew, one, the lifetime value of the client was $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 back then. Now it's $5,000 to $8,000 for quality clients in carpet cleaning. The lifetime value. Are you willing to spend $80 at the front end to get $5,000 to $8,000 over the lifetime if you market to them well? Heck yeah. So what we're talking about here is if you're paying between $25 and $45 for a phone call and you're good on the phones, you are good at doing follow-up. We're going to talk about a couple of those ways to convert that, and you book more than 50%, you bought a customer for $50 to $90. Now, if your cleaning price is $90 per cleaning, you're going to go, wow, I bought it for full price. The average carpet cleaner, $200, $300, $400 average job, that's easy. That's easy. So part of it is the price you sell at as well. You got to think about that. Does it fit into your metrics? If your prices are discount, how do you get a decent dollar amount per job? Do you want to do 5, 6, 7 jobs a day to make $1,200, $1,500 a day? Or do you want to do 1 or 2 jobs a day to make $1,200 and $1,500 because you target a different clientele with a different message? That's all part of what we like to talk about during our consultations and marketing and some of our services and stuff like that. But you've got to think through what works for you, right? Again, some industries, $70, $80, $90, $100 a phone call from local service ads. But a lot of times it's still less. It's still one of the best, most cost-effective paid lead sources if you start running the math on all the other ones as well. You can say, John, I get Facebook leads at $15 to $20. Yeah, but they're tire kickers because they didn't go typing in. They weren't hyper-targeted. So you need 4, 5, 6 of them before one of them says yes to book a job. What is that? 6 times $20 is $120. You just spent more to buy a customer there, even though they seem less expensive. So you got to think about things that way. The price will vary by city, service type, message type, phone versus chat. They offer a chat lead and it's usually about 50% less cost, but the conversion rate's lower as well. So it's worth testing and playing with, but you definitely want to make sure phones is the most important part of that service, right? So to get approved, you got to go through this check. You'll see it on your end, proof of insurance, background check. You want customer reviews, right? So we've worked with companies that have had their Google local service ads set up by somebody else, and it wasn't set up properly and was never tied into their Google Maps listing. When you have a Google Maps listing and you do the right connection and you go through and set up the account the right way, then if you've got 200 Google reviews over on your Google Maps, now you've got 200 reviews that come into your local service ads right when you set it up, and you pass this. If you don't, they're going to ask you to go out and get a couple of reviews just to get past this check mark. You cannot be in Google local service ads platform without a minimum required number of reviews, right? Google's only going to show reputable businesses, and they help prove that with the reviews. You've got to have a budget set up, and you've got to get billing information set up because they're going to charge you for every call, right? So where it becomes fancy is how you're setting up your budget, right? So you want to set a weekly budget. They want you to set a weekly budget that limits the total number of leads you receive in any given week, right? So say, for example, somebody says, I want to spend $1,000 on local service ads. Okay, that's $250 a week. That's your weekly budget. That's $50 a day. If your cost per lead is $25 in your area, 25, 26, 27 during the bidding, right? Google knows that you've got 1 or 2 phone calls a day and your budget for that day is spent. Now they're looking at the weekly budget, but their algorithm's smart. Like we're talking, AI, they can do basic math. It knows and it's going to scale you back. And that 3-pack we talked about, it's not going to show you up in those 3 listings as often because you've got a limited budget. We like to say, take your monthly budget and at the very least set that as your weekly budget. And if you spend it all and you don't want any more leads, pause it. But if you're booking well, you will never, like, you're not going to spend the whole $1,000 anyway. There's just not that many people calling you on every single day out of that 14% that have typed the search in the areas that you're targeting. Find that are part of the people that are going to call from there and call you. If they are, and you're getting flooded with work, get another van on the road. Go do the work. If you're good at converting those leads, open the tap up. That is one of the strategies that works really, really well. Because once your budget is spent, you go offline. You're completely offline until the next month, right? Because you've given it a budget, right? So you can get different number of leads from day to day. Doesn't mean you're going to always get, oh, I've got enough for 2 leads. I'm going to get 2 leads every day. No. If you go, oh, I got enough for 10 leads. I'm going to get 10 leads every day. No. It's still based on competitors, who's bidding what, the volume of customers calling. We know in the industry that on a sunny Monday and Tuesday, you get more phone calls, and maybe Friday afternoon, Wednesdays and Thursdays can be slow days. Once you kind of get up to scale and volume, if it starts raining on a Monday, some of those calls get pushed to Tuesday because humans are weird psychological creatures, and we see rain outside and we go, I don't want to call for carpet cleaning for 2 weeks from now. Doesn't make sense, but it happens. It's the way psychology works, right? So you have the ability to immediately dispute leads on the platform because every call is being recorded. Google's recording them. You can hear them. If it turns out that it was a call for somebody looking for a job, it was a call out of your area, it was a call for a service that you do not have defined in your local service ads, right? You can dispute those. So things that can be disputed are solicitation calls. So maybe it's a vendor calling, right? Somebody from Home Advisor trying to get you on their platform. Spam calls, could be recorded, could be, things like that, like just a robocall. Again, a location you don't serve, a service not offered. Now, Google's AI is getting really, really good at listening to the calls and knowing when this happens. But you should still go in and mark any call that was not legitimate spam, because you get the money back. Google is not charging you. Now, the downside of if you don't do that, if they hear, like, say, for example, you booked the job and then you didn't ask the right questions, you don't have a good inbound script, you're not vetting the client properly, right? You haven't kind of thought through that part of your business yet well enough, or whoever answered the phone kind of winged it a bit. And the next thing you know, you go to do the job and you realize, that's not in our area, or that's whatever, but we don't do that service. Like, for whatever reason, you try and dispute it with Google, they're going to go, no. We heard you. You booked it. It's yours to pay for no matter what. But if you can dispute it right away and you're asking the right questions, you got the legitimate reasons, you get that money back. So keep that in mind as well. So this is feedback from our own clients and active users and people that we talk to in the industry and our own experience. You end up with actually a lower cost per lead than pay-per-click. So at the end of the day, a lower cost per lead for sure, and usually a lower cost per client acquisition. They are just more targeted, a little bit more. That just that top of Google. Again, it's a smaller crowd, but they're more targeted, definitely, than pay-per-click, because pay-per-click's not catching as many of them anymore. Higher quality leads than things like Home Advisor and Thumbtack and stuff like that, because it's just right on Google. They don't have to go into another platform and, search Google, find Home Advisor, go into Home Advisor, type in that they're looking for carpet cleaning. And again, and then Home Advisor, for example, they send you the lead form that the person filled out. It's not phone calls. It's not you're getting a live transfer right to your phone and it's ringing, right? So, of course, you're still going to get price shoppers. John, I wish we didn't get, people that, need me to explain our services and why we're different and still just want the cheapest price. Right? 20% of consumers are always price shoppers, even in the right category. Even if you've targeted the right people with the right message, 20% are still going to be price shoppers. Now, some of those with good marketing and good education-based marketing can be followed up with over time and be educated why the discount isn't the service for them. But if they live in geared to income rental property, and they just need some cleaning done on their carpet, their upholstery, whatever. Sorry, but they don't own the property. They don't own the carpet. They may not even, they might have bought the upholstery secondhand. They're going to be a discount shopper. If this is the way they searched and for whatever reason they decided to call you, but they've got $50 left to pay for a cleaning because their best friend just puked all over the couch after a bender, that might not, you're still going to get those calls. But ideally, you're going to get better quality calls because of a couple of the influencing things we're going to show you here as well. But if you've got your scripts right, you've got your follow-up right, you've got you're marking the leads properly, you're going to get a higher and higher quality lead from there. Google's going to show you to the right people more and more. And if you track your ROI, which you should from every advertising source, how much did I pay? How many calls did I get? How many of those calls did I physically book on the first call? How many calls did I book on my follow-up? And eventually, of that lead pool that was generated, how many actually became customers? And what was the final revenue? If you can track them tip to tail and go back and go, wow, that was a 5-to-1 ROI, return on investment. I spent $1,000 and got $5,000 worth of work over the next couple of weeks. I spent, maybe 3-to-1, $1,000 and got $3,000 worth of work. Would you turn that off? If you were in Vegas and you put $1,000 into, on a poker table, and every single time you put $1,000 worth of chips on, you got 3,000 back, and you took 1,000 and put it back on the poker table, you got 3,000 back. Would you stop? Right? Maybe when you got tired, but as soon as you woke up, there's enough coffee and Adderall in the world to keep you making that money, until you drop. So anyways, think of it this way as well. So, it's a no-brainer for most carpet cleaners to have it in the mix, not as their only way, and get it out of your head if you're thinking, well, I'll start with that, and once I get enough money, then I'll do other marketing. Marketing is still always a mix. This should be more than break even. You put it in the mix. It didn't cost you money if you're booking, right? If you're booking more than 50%, it never cost you money. Let it earn its keep while you've got other things earning their keep as well. So it's a mixture of all of it, right? So you show up at the top where some clients are looking. You only pay when they give you a call. So you only pay for lead, not per call. Lower cost than pay-per-click, higher quality than home advisors and other pay-per lead services. And your ability to modify your budget based on your schedule is a really good one as well. You can literally go into the back end of the platform, and for the clients who we work with, we don't make any money on local service ads. We barely charge anything to add that on to our marketing packages, but we listen to the calls. And if we're noticing that you're booking too far out and you're not landing them, a lot of clients don't remember to pop back in and just pause it or slow it down or do anything like that. We do that for them, because you don't want to be spending money when from the local service ad source when you can't take the jobs because you're too booked out and you haven't got that next truck on the road yet and hired the next technician, or he's in training and that kind of thing, right? So you want to be able to modify your budget. Google lets you do it on the fly. Google local service ads let you do it on the fly. So that's something to consider as well. So let's get into setup. Now we know why. Again, if you work with us and you don't have them set up yet, get them set up. Like, even if you turn them off, get them set up and ready to go for when you need it, right? So we'll talk about hitting the algorithm up. If you don't work with us, go to ads.google.com/local-service-ads. If you're driving right now and watching this, don't try and write this down. Don't have an accident. Go to Google and just type in local service ads. They'll give you the link, right? It's a search engine. Just go search up local service ads. And when you get there, you're going to get to this screen right here. You're going to have a welcome, and it's going to tell you about what you need to do and what Google Guarantee is all about. Again, that Google guarantees your service to their end consumer, right? And you click continue and start the sign up process. Pretty basic, right? So once you get signed up, again, it can take a week or two. You've got to do that background check. You've got to put your insurance. You've got to have local licensing and whatever they ask for. Every kind of area and state is slightly different. It's based on local laws, not just Google's national laws. So it's based on local laws in your area for this kind of service. So just kind of go through what it is in your area, right? But how does the ranking work? Who's going to show up in the 3-pack? Well, at the end of the day, Google's still going to deal with proximity, right? One of many factors, and there's many, but one of them is how close are you to the person searching, right? So if Google knows, and Google does know where your business is, even if you're a service area business, where they sent the postcard, where your center of your service area is, you can't turn around and say, oh, I'm a service area business and I service a 500-mile radius. Google's going to go call BS on that, right? So they're going to give you a targeted service area, right? So there is a proximity. And once you get too far out, there's other people that are closer. So one of the ranking factors, by all means, is going to be the proximity to your Google Maps listing, to your where they sent the postcard to verify your listing, all of that kind of stuff, right? So you want to really kind of make sure that you think that through as well. It's the same thought conversation you have in Google Maps. If your location, hub, center, pin drop, office is nowhere near your ideal client in a 5 to 10 mile radius, it might be worth moving offices. Sounds crazy. You could open up a second office in a different area of town as well. Anything that you can get legally and legitimately verified through Google can be another local service ad account. You have to set up a new account for that, but based on that Google Maps listing. So something, a little bit of nuggets of good information right there. Your review score determines who goes first as well. Now, Google is going to bring over those reviews, as we talked about, from your Google Maps listing, but sometimes you'll notice that maybe you've got 120 reviews on your Google Maps and you've got 135 reviews on your local service ads. Well, what the heck's causing that? Well, that's coming from the fact that local service ads has its own ability to generate its own reviews. So, they take their own reviews at a higher scale. So right within the platform, it's considered a verified review because it's somebody that actually typed the search in, found the local service ad, called your business, booked the job. You told them the job booked, so they now know it actually booked. You completed the job, and then they gave you a review all the way through the whole process. And that gives you tons of brownie points as well. So you want to make sure that you get reviews from people that come through local service ads. Your responsiveness is massive. Do you answer the phones when it rings? All day, every day? We got clients go, oh, I always answer the phones. And then they jump on our platforms and we're listening going, you missed 30% of them. Right? In Google local service ads, when they're trying to deliver a great client experience for using their service, if you don't answer your phones and somebody else does, they get the calls, right? You're going to be demoted, right? So you want to be responsive. If they fill out a form and message you, I'll get to it tomorrow. All of that is tracked. You can actually see your response time inside local service ads. They know that the person who responds faster gets brownie points and moves up in that rankings as well. Your business hours matter as well. You do not want to be running ads when nobody's on the phones. So you want to dial in only the times that your phones are available to be answered. If that's Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, that's the only time you're running the ads. Don't say, well, I might answer it at 11 o'clock at night. No. There's no mites in this as well, right? So if you get complaints, a series of serious complaints, right? Or repeated complaints, right? So either serious ones or repeated ones, Google guarantees the end customer they're going to demote you and possibly even ban you, suspend you if you're getting complaints, right? Especially serious ones that need resolution and need to go through the whole claiming back some money process and stuff like that. Again, in addition to these ranking factors, Google will attempt to spread out the leads you receive over time. They don't want to spend your entire budget right away, so it's trying to spread it out. So again, that's that other thing that, if you set your monthly budget as a weekly budget and see where where the chips fall, watch that. You're not going to be demoted because your budget's too lean. You're going to just spend it, can book up and then pause it if you're too busy. If you're booked out and out, pause it, right? Because at the very least, you're being pushed to the front because as one of the many ranking factors, you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, and then you pause it when you're too busy. And that's fine, right? So how to win with local service ads. You want to dial in your service area, your profile, and your budget. We talked about the budget quite a bit. Service area, you don't want to go so far out. Again, there's a proximity thing. You don't want to go so far out that it kind of weakens or spreads thin your budget or your ads. It's better to actually, if you're trying to service a really big swath, most businesses, it's better to have a satellite office and run that. If you're growing to that size, it's better to target a hub where your ideal customers are and really be seen over and over and over again in that area. It's better to maximize one area before moving on to the next, as opposed to thinking, oh, the more the merrier. The more the merrier is not a business growth concept, right? So you want to mark your jobs as booked. The more jobs you book, the more Google's going, oh, these guys are popular. Let me give you them more. Let me have them show up more, right? So you want to mark your jobs as booked as well. You want to deal with disputes right away. You want to drive verified leads or reviews, verified reviews. So what that means is, again, of these people that came through, there's a button at the end. If you booked, they became a customer and they're done, you got a little bit of homework to do. Go back and ask them click the button. Google will send a request for a review, not you. Google will, right inside the Google Local Service Ads platform, and they will get reviews directly there. Even if you've asked for Google reviews yourself on the job, all that kind of stuff, you have a reputation marketing system where you're asking for feedback first, then reviews. And the better way to do it doesn't really matter. Still click this button after the fact and let Google send out, hey, by the way, we're Google Local Service Ads. You used our service. How did the provider do? It feels different as well. There's people that will fill out a review for you and still refill out a review here as well, just so you know that. And you want to target a 75, and that should be not and 75% booking rate in your reporting, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that, but you want to target a high booking rate, and there's ways to kind of do that, right? So we're going to talk about dialing in the profile. Step number 1 of that, right? Set your budget, open it up. If you have the capacity, just keep it wide open. Update your ad schedule. Make sure it's not showing when you're not available. Set up your business bio. You have a couple of options to click on certain things. Google grabs those from your maps listing and other places around the web about your business. You don't get to type them, but set that bio up well. Select your job types. What types of jobs do you want to chase down? And be very aware that if the job types are too vastly different, it messes with the way your budget is. So if you do maid service and carpet cleaning, and maid service is a vastly different service than carpet cleaning, it's often better to have those two as separate divisions of your company, separate Google listings, and separate local service ads, and running separate marketing, because there is a difference in who buys those, but there's also a difference in the keywords, and it's hard to kind of bid for both. If that makes sense, you're going to end up being no good in either. So when they're highly related, carpet cleaning, upholstery cleaning, area cleaning, tile and grout cleaning, all of that stuff that we know about, keep them tight. You can test them all, but I would always start with the thing that generates the most amount of revenue and the most amount of inquiries for you. Normally carpet cleaning for us carpet cleaners, and then add the other ones on and see where they do, right? Make sure you have your service area dialed in well. Update your business hours and add lots of photos, right? So you want to have photos of your equipment, your team, on the job. You don't want stock photos. You don't want babies lying on carpets and all that other stuff like we say about websites as well. And, a family and a dog sitting on a couch. You want your team. You want inside the office, inside the van, outside the van, inside the customer, everything. You want to teach them what it's going to look like to hire your services, right? So if you've got those photos, that's going to be an influence moment, right? Because now they're going, oh, look at these guys. Oh, and they're going to flip through photos, and somebody else has got 3 photos and they're all just kind of basic, the picture of the front dashboard on their truck mount compared to you taking a picture of the van or your 2 vans sitting parked side by side in front of City Hall where you're cleaning and hoses running in. That tells a different story. A picture tells 1,000, says 1,000 words. What story do you want your pictures to tell? Think about it and really, really modify or upload good pictures, and keep an eye on the pictures. Change them up. Make sure you're telling a story with your pictures. A lot of companies just don't do that. Mark your jobs as booked. Google will rate your responsiveness and how well you completed your jobs. So mark them as booked and scheduled, right? The jobs that said, yeah, let me think about it and call you back, chase them down, right? Mark them as booked. once you get them, like outside of that initial phone call, right? Add in the customer details and all of that kind of stuff. It just shows Google, even if you never use that platform for anything else, but you can add in the email and then press to get a review, and Google's going to send them an email message, right? So all the information, just fill it out just to complete it, because it actually adds brownie points, right? Archive any of those not converted opportunities. So you're teaching Google's algorithm who became a good client and who didn't, right? So there's a little bit of a game you can play with that as well, that's saying, hey, mark the very best customers as booked, right? But the higher booking percentage you have, the more Google's going to show you more than the competitors who maybe only book 20% and you book 75%, right? So you can influence the algorithm a little bit that way. Deal with disputes right away. You won't be charged if the dispute is disqualified. Outside of your area, not a service you provide, deal with them right away. It's available right in the back dashboard. Deal with it, right? But don't legitimately dispute something that's a legitimate lead. Oh, I just didn't like that customer. Oh, they just didn't seem like they were qualified for us. No. If it was the services that you provide in the service area you provide it, that was a qualified lead to Google, and you're going to pay for that lead, right? But dispute the other ones well, and they will remove them off of your bill. So you won't be paying for those ones. And again, at $25 to $35 an average cost per phone call, not a bad idea to dispute 4 or 5 of them in a month and save $100, right? Drive verified reviews. Go a little deeper in this. The number of reviews is a major driver of your rankings and where you show up. So provide great service as always. Deliver a reward, like an excellent service experience. Craft your service experience so your technician knows how to approach the door, step back, wait to be invited in, put booties on, roll out the red carpet, use corner guards, have, smells good, doesn't smell, sweaty the third job of the day, whatever. And change their shirt, put on cologne, whatever, all that kind of stuff. Have a script through the home. Deliver an amazing service experience, because with that, people are going to give Google reviews as well as give you reviews when you ask in 2 different ways. So you're going to be asking for feedback and reviews as the company. Google's going to be asking later if you click that button, right? So you might even wait a day or 2 and then click the button after the job is done and say, let Google ask this one, let Google ask this one. And you can do both. So you ask right away for feedback and then reviews, let Google send an email later on. So hopefully that makes sense. Will LSA reviews add to the total in your maps? Brent, good question. Sorry, you're lucky I looked over there. But I just saw it kind of move in the corner of my eye. No, they won't. They host them themselves on their own platform. So on local service ads, you will see that number. Say this guy might have 130 reviews on their own listing, on their Google Maps listing, and then maybe have, again, the difference, 28 came through their local service ads over time, right? That's why they see 158 there. But no, the ones that are inside local service ads only live there, right? So this is kind of what they look like. That was the call. Ask for a review is just a button in the dashboard. It's pretty easy to get used to the dashboard. But yeah, once they, right now, if you don't put the rest of the information, you might not know who this person is. So that's a good reason to fill out the rest of the listing as well. But because you're going to ask for a review, and you want to make sure if they just phoned you, Google doesn't have their email address. So you're going to have to collect that from the customer. So what's the best email address? And I'll send you over everything we just talked about and the stuff you need to do prep before we show up at the home, right? So open spot in the driveway, near the door, blah, all that stuff, right? You're always going to ask for an email address, and it's not like, may I have it? What's your best email address so I can send you this stuff you need? That's psychological, that's neuro-linguistic programming, a little bit of psychological positioning. You want this thing, the stuff you need before we show up? Yes, you have to give me that. And you ask in that way, and people will just give you the answer without the filter of, oh, I don't like giving out my email address, right? So it's just a way to get past that. So, and then again, you're going to get verified Google verified jobs, right? And that's what they're going to look like inside your local service ad listing as well. But yeah, they don't cross pollinate back into the other one. Again, target 75% booking rate. And you're going to see that inside your listing. Well, with clients we work with, when we do we don't charge very much just to listen to every single one of the calls and help with the images optimizations and help with a bit of the other optimizations and really find out when you're booking or not booking and stuff like that. As part of our ad service, if you're running one of our ad services, we can add this on as sort of like a complement for not very much at all. But one of the things we like to do is, make sure that you're attempting, like, you're marking qualified leads as booked jobs in Google, right? You don't necessarily have to think of your Google dashboard as the holy grail that says exactly what happened exactly. So if that's covert enough of explaining sort of part of a strategy that can help, but you want the higher booking percentage you have, for qualified leads that are the right type of customer, the more Google is going to put you, the algorithm is going to put you in front of more of those customers. If everybody that booked is low income side of town and, discount shopper, and Google already knows that information based on the ad ID and their search history and all that kind of stuff, and you book all of those or a lot of those and none of the others, and that's what you teach the algorithm, guess where it's going to dial your ads in showing up more. Right? So there is a bit of influence over time in the algorithm of making sure that the better clients are the ones that are marked booked and stuff like that as well. So how do you increase lead flow? How do you get it wide open? Open up your budget. You can start expanding your service area or your job types or your ad schedule or your business hours to increase it if you've got the capacity. But again, with all the caveats I mentioned earlier about making sure you don't overexpand that, right? You want to close out every lead as booked, scheduled, or archived. So you want to make sure that every lead gets closed out in their dashboard. It teaches the algorithm a little bit as well. It's not just teaching them, but you look conscientious. We have noted, they don't say this anywhere in their policies, but we have noted that people that close out every single lead, and again, we help with that with the clients we work with, it just makes them go, oh, these guys are proactive, and proactive businesses get brownie points by algorithms, right? And request verified leads on every job, as we talked about, right? So what should you do right now? You should get with your strategy partner on our team. If you don't already have it set up, at least just to get it set up. Right? We can help you with that. If you don't have it set up, if it's set up and it's not sort of optimized, we can help with that as well. And if you need somebody to stay attentive to it for you so that you don't run into it, like we've seen some clients, kind of do it themselves. And next thing you know, they go, well, we just spent $3,500 last month. We had it wide open. But that flood came through, that hurricane came through, that whatever, we were super busy. And we literally took like 3 jobs from local service ads and it sat running because we're too busy to think about it. And yeah, we booked maybe $400 worth of work and spent $3,500 because we should have turned it off. We would have heard that for you, kind of idea. So things like that, you definitely need to be attentive on it. So it's something to think about anyways. Complete the background check, put the tracking in place to gauge your ROI. Don't just wing it. Actually, I don't care if that's just a Google spreadsheet, if it's an Excel spreadsheet, if you use like House Call Pros, Service Monster, any of those, and you can tag the local service jobs so you can reverse engineer the numbers at the end of the month when you're running your math. Like however you track your ROI, track your ROI. We talk about it on every lead source, every ad source. Be sure that you're leveraging the platform properly and play the game while the ROI makes sense. So again, if you're booking 50% of the jobs legitimately when you listen to them, you're booking 50%, you're doing good follow-up. So the people that didn't book today, are you calling them tomorrow? Do you have them on a list? Are you leaving it there? Are you pulling it out? Are you putting them into like a tool like ours, Carpet Cleaner Lead Pro, where you've got their name, you got their email because you're on the phone with them. They said, yeah, let me think about it. Okay, we get that a lot. We're carpet cleaners. Not everybody books on the phone. What is your 2-week chase process before you kind of put them into long-term nurture? What is your long-term nurture so that even if they decided not to do it now because you know what, the dishwasher broke down and they had a different bill and they have to wait 3 months, they're not going to remember you at all. Sorry, about your ego there, but they've forgotten. Is that John's cleaning, George's cleaning, Josh, I don't know. I've got choice. I can't remember. Let me just pick one, right? But if you're in their inbox, you spent a couple weeks telling them why your business is different, educating them about how you clean, why you built your system, your risk reversal guarantee, your founder's story, all that foundation stuff that we always talk about in your blueprint. If you're doing that and you're following up with them during that lead chase period of about 2 weeks, and then, sometimes sending a mafia offer at the end of the 2 weeks works really well as well, and then putting them into long-term nurture. And 3 months from now, 4 months from now, they pop their head up because something else had happened and now they're ready. You paid for that lead once, that phone call way back here in October, and now in February, they're calling to say, I'm now ready. They didn't remember you. They don't know you. They couldn't find you unless you chased them. Maybe it's a year later and they go, you know what? The last guy I hired, didn't like him. Right? You guys have been following up with me every single month with stories of happy customers and some great tips around the home and blah, blah, blah. And you've been kind of pinging me and checking in every so often and stuff like that every few months. Just, hey, is there anything you need help with? Blah, blah, blah. Again, we do that automated with Carpet Cleaner Lead Pro. But if you're not doing it automated, have a system in place where every lead gets put into even just a file folder and you move them through to stay in touch, right? The ROI is going to make sense to you a lot longer than it makes sense to most of your competitors, because I guarantee you 99% of all other businesses, not just carpet cleaners, 99% of all other businesses don't know how to do lead chase properly. And the one that does is the one that grows bigger, has better clients, and sells their business for many multiples more and makes more money and is happier about the business they're running because they built systems in their business that generated growth, right? So will this make money? Help you attract more leads and grow your business? I don't need to wait for people to pop yes in the box. Yes, it will. We know that. We've proven it across hundreds and hundreds of clients. So what are your takeaways? Right? Write them down. What are the takeaways of where local service ads fits into the mix of your marketing, not the sole source of your marketing? You never want to be victim to, that was the one place I got 50% of my leads. That was the one, whether it's local service ads, whether it's a contractor in town, whether it's a great real estate agent, whether it's, Facebook ads running really, really well. I don't know. Pick the thing, whether it's every door mail and whatever. And all of a sudden something changes. And now you have, it becomes, if you worked with a business consultant, you've had what's done is called a SWOT analysis: your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Having too few poles in the water to build a business is a massive threat. You have to solve for that threat. You have to get 10, then 20, then 30 ways to generate 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 leads a month. Now you're generating 300 inquiries and leads, and you've got your database being marketed to so that it's coming back twice as fast as it ever used to. So the average person comes back every 18 to 24 months, and you've got them 11 to 13 months coming back. You just doubled your business from your database alone, on top of everything else you're doing. So if you ever need help, we call it the best known cleaner, omnipresence marketing system, because what we're talking about is all of these little hinges that swing big doors, and no one of them is good enough. But in the mix, they all have a place if you can maximize the ROI. And you can understand from this conversation here, there's a lot of things that you can do differently than somebody else. If you've got somebody on the phones and answering your phones for you, don't be answering your phones when you're driving your truck and in front of Mrs. Jones trying to sell her your, whiz bang, always clean, repeat cleaning package at $1.20 a square foot, or, minimum $500. And you can sell 30% of those if you've got the right script, but all of a sudden your phone rings and you're either, do I take the new client call? Do I talk to Mrs. Jones? No, that should be answered by somebody instantly during business hours. You should have two-way chat going on with automation, all of that kind of stuff. You need somebody, even if it's a stay-at-home mom, if you're a one-truck operation, answering your phones and getting paid for everything they book, and teach them how to do follow-up, right? But you need to be building that because you need an omnipresence marketing system that everywhere they go, they start learning about you. Who? Your ideal target market. Who is your ideal target market? Your ideal client, customer, and your ideal referral partner. Those are your target market who needs to see you. And that's who you need to be marketing to consistently in full force at a full court press every single day. When you don't have a lot of money for marketing, it is shoe leather and time, because you have that instead. When you have less time, it's because you're busy, you have more money. And then you balance between the two. So you do the hustle, you run the business, and you have marketing going out for all of these channels and avenues, and you just stack next. And next thing you know, at the end of year one, you've got 20 pulls in the water. At the end of year two, you've got 30, 35 pulls in the water. And you're building up a muscle that you can then go wide on each one of those poles, right? Now, if you're targeting certain lead sources, how can you go wide and maximize it, right? So there's ways to play the game. If you need to hop on a call and talk about any of that, hop on our schedule. We love talking about this stuff. There is a blueprint for this. There is a dedicated way to build a home service business. Again, not everything not everything has to be exact, but there is a framework and a foundation that without it, you're trying to run the business while missing the key messages that generate the right clientele. And there's certain things you need to do as the business owner, and you need to have people do for you to build the business in the background behind you, the marketing and the awareness, so that you can do your job, and then you move up through the scale. And there's a hierarchy of scaling to grow a business. You're in a small town. How do you grow $1 million business where you can, 10, 15 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever your goal is, golf a couple days a week, have crews out there, manage the business as the business owner, have a bit of a relaxed lifestyle, work smart, work hard, do all of it, but also get the fruits of your labors. That's why we do this. Otherwise, we'd take a job with somebody else, right? In a smaller town, you go wide, right? You get so good at what you're doing that the maid service in town says, buy me out. I'm retiring. I don't want it. And you go, yeah, I can market you way better than you did. I've got this figured out. I can run a better system. I can teach the people better. I can do, all that. You maybe buy the local janitorial supply store. Fred's about to retire, and you buy it and take over and revamp it. You can go wide once you learn this how to grow a business. And if you're in a town with a lot of people, you go deep, right? You could be one or two or three services, but the best at it, and there's millions of dollars available for you that way as well, being one of the higher end cleaners, the elite cleaners in the marketplace. You hire the best technicians that way because they want to work for you. You pay them the best. You end up with the best customers. You can pay more to acquire them. You've got the shiniest trucks on the road because you got money, all that kind of stuff. And you're not worrying about nickel and diming and bondoing your vehicles back together to make them look okay in a driveway and throwing a mat underneath them because they're dripping oil and stuff like that. So been there, done that, talked to everybody. I've helped businesses through this. And yeah, this is what we talk about on our strategy calls. So if you want to have that chat, see where we might be able to fit in your journey, where you're at in the journey, just give you a bit of advice on that. Reach out to us. Krisha will chat you up first, find out where you're at, what you're all about, and then schedule a time when it's available. And I do some consulting to help you go through that process, let you know what we do, and see if we're a good fit. So anyways, hopefully that was interesting, valuable. Local service ads have a huge place as one of the pieces in the mix, and it has a point where it can fit in pretty early on in the mix as well. You don't need to wait later in the game, like pay-per-click sometimes fits a little bit better later in the game. Even Facebook ads sometimes fit a little bit better because it's got a different model. It has a different type of people finding you. Local service ads, they're hot, they're at the top, and you can dial the algorithm in over time, over a couple weeks, couple months, to give you more of the ideal ones. And if you've got the rest of that back end and that lead conversion figured out, that scripting figured out, that follow-up figured out, it's well worth it to pay $25 to $35 for a phone call, because you got a system in place to land a lot of them. You know me, we like to add a lot of other information and value and thoughts and ways to kind of get into your brain and really help you figure out this whole thing about running a business, only because I've done it for years. And if you found this valuable, by all means, let us know. Give us a ping. Really appreciate it. If you've got other people in the industry that you know of that should be watching this, share that out with anybody on any forums you're on. Really appreciate anybody teaching you helping other people understand what it takes to run a business, because there's a lot of crappy information out there. There's a lot of scammers calling about, just run Facebook ads, just run Google, pay-per-click ad, do this, do that, and thinking that there's a one and done solution. And there's a lot of young people, young guys in the industry or newbies in the industry that don't know any better and get taken. There's a predictable path to grow a business. They can buy the book. They can jump on some of these calls. They can kind of get their eyes opened up a little bit and maybe see that there's a business owner journey that they need to be on as well. So anyways, hopefully you found that valuable, everybody. I'm going to let you go. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. And until next time, happy marketing.